The business owners I've met, the people I've worked with in coaching, and generally the most successful people I know that have the most resources are very resourceful as people. And I think what happens a lot of times when we're starting a business or trying to take our business to the next level, we think we're missing some resource. Like we think we're missing time, or we need more money to make it happen, or something else we don't have. But the reality is, actually getting your business to that next level, whether it's taking the first step and actually starting your business, maybe getting the money to buy gear, whatever it is, or when you're starting to scale, you need more time or you need more money to scale properly. You don't actually need that, or maybe you do, but the way you get it is you start by being a more resourceful person. And so if you look at successful people that are resourceful, and that's the common thread, what you should try to figure out, at least in my opinion, is not, hey, how do I get the money? It's like, or how do I get where they're at? It's like, well, the main trait is resourcefulness. So what I need to do is become resourceful, because that obviously is working for them. And so I wanted to break down an acronym that I think will help you, has helped me at least, become more resourceful and just like think through things. Because if you put these things in place, like this is how you become resourceful. And so the acronym is CAPE, like the cape, superhero cape, right? It'll help you become a superhero if you get resourceful. But anyway, so number one is clarity. So if you want to do something, it's important to know what you're doing. If I say, hey, go chase that, and you're like, chase what? Exactly. So you need to know exactly what you're trying to achieve. So let's say you're trying to start a real estate media business. You want to say start a real estate media business. Like that's what you're trying to do, but that's not a clear goal. That's just something you could have already done. You could have already started. So it's like, I want to build my real estate media business to 10K a month. That's a clear goal. You get clarity on what you're actually chasing. If you're just like, oh, I want to own a business, that's really hard because there's a million different businesses. And so pick the one thing. And this one is for affirmation. Someone who thinks you need to sit there and like chant the things you want. But what I do think is important is not to affirm the other thing. So if you sit there and you say, oh, I'm broke, that's why I can't start a business, that doesn't serve you. Like that attitude doesn't serve you. And so what you need to say is like, I am starting a business and I'm going to figure out how to make, you need to get your mindset in the right direction. I understand that one's kind of fluffy, but I hear a lot of people that say things and then they believe the things they say. They go out there and they say, oh, I'm broke, I can't do that. Or I don't have enough time to hire. Or, oh, my market's not big enough. Or whatever like the excuse is. But it's like a reverse affirmation, right? You're like giving yourself an excuse. So drop that. It doesn't serve you. So C, clarity, A, affirmations, and P is proof. This means getting specific and figuring out the actual situation that you're in and what you're going to need to do to get there, like the evidence. So if you say, hey, I want to start a $10,000 or I want to grow my real estate media business, start and grow it to $10,000 a month, you need to figure out, and maybe your affirmation has been like, but I'm broke. You need to start getting proof about what is exactly true. So when you say I have no money, that's not true because you have at least $1, right? You probably have $1. And so it's like getting clear and having proof to yourself about where you're actually at. So here's my situation, or I don't have enough time is another one. How many hours do I have? How much money do I have? How much money do I need to spend? How many hours do I need? What would it take to do that? And that's the next step, is like really figuring out and breaking it down by the specifics. Because like one of the bigger mistakes I see people making is they just go, I want to start a business sometime, but I don't have enough money. Like that's all they say. And there's no specifics in that. There's nothing that's going to help them. The last one, and this is really important, is your end goal. So people say, hey, I want to start a real estate media company and make $10,000 a month, or I currently make $15,000 a month and I want to make $50,000 a month as a real estate photographer. That's good, but it's really important to think clearly about what that end goal is, because my guess is just the $50,000 a month thing is not the only goal, or it's not even a big part of it. So let's say you're at 10, you want to get to 50K a month. 50K a month in revenue really doesn't tell me a lot about your business. And so I think it's important to really think about that end goal and go, okay, 50K a month, that's going to get me at a 50% profit margin, $25,000 in monthly income. Like, is that what I need? Is that what I want? Because the worst thing is to solve for something or build something that doesn't actually help you with what you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to travel and you don't want to be in person doing stuff, like that's a different goal than, hey, I just want to make the most amount of money possible because I want to buy 3 rental properties this year. So having the end goal in mind is really important. So I'd encourage you to think through what you're trying to do, whether it's big picture, like, hey, I want to actually start my real estate media business, or any business, right? Or it's, here's where I'm currently at. I make $30,000 a month in my real estate media business, and I want to grow it to the next level. If you can take some time to kind of clarify your thoughts on that and go through that acronym, clarity about what you want, what things are you telling yourself or acting like every day that aren't actually serving that goal for you? P, as in proof, like where am I actually at and what are the things I need to do? And then 4, or E for CAPE, is the end goal. Like what's the plan we're trying to achieve? if you think through those things, you'll be so much more successful. So in my business personally, the first few years, I didn't get a lot done and I didn't really move nearly as fast as a lot of the people we work with do. But why is that? Well, if I look at my journey versus people that were starting this business, like number one, I had no clarity. I had no idea the type of business that I wanted to build. I knew a real estate media business, but I kind of thought that was like a fake business. And I'd learned some things to eventually start my quote unquote real business. Silly, but I thought that I had no idea how much money. I had zero clarity. So I was just doing stuff. I was hoping I'd get there, but I had no clarity. I told myself things, I kind of mentioned one of them a second ago that weren't necessarily true. I'll start a real business next. Like I'm just doing this to learn. And that didn't serve me. It's like, what do you mean real? Like I know people making $300,000 a month in revenue, not profit in this business. Sounds plenty real to me. And at that point, if I would have known that, I would have thought that was real. I just thought photography is kind of like a play business. You can't actually build something with it. So that didn't serve me, right? And I'm sure I acted according to that. It's like proof. Okay, what's the proof next? Like, where am I at currently? If I had the goal, then I would have been able to build proof of like, okay, well, if I'm making $1,000 a month and I really want to make 15, like, here's the action steps I need to take. So that proof would have helped me build a plan, an end goal. Going back to the negative affirmation that I had, like, this is not a real business. I wasn't able to thoughtfully plan. It's not an end goal for your whole life. I'm not saying you have to like map out. That's impossible, right? But it's like knowing what you're trying to build. I wish that I knew I was trying to build a real estate media business, and I wish that I knew it would be interesting to me to scale it. I wish I knew that was there and a possibility. And so this would help me grow a lot faster. These days, my actions are a lot more in alignment with this, whether this acronym or not. This is something newer put together, but these steps are how you become more resourceful with your time, because you're not just, for example, I mentioned at the start, like if you want to get resources, the people that I know that have resources, they're very resourceful with or without resources. They figure it out. So it's like, well, how do they figure it out? That acronym that I just talked about is exactly that, right? Because they're sitting there and they're going, okay, they're really clear. They don't waste time. So if time's the limited resource, they're not going, let me try everything. They're doing clarity, right? And they're going, hey, what are the things that are going to cause me to waste time? It's negative affirmations or things I'm telling myself that aren't true. So you kind of go through those steps, and those steps, if you do them when you're making decisions or thinking about things, it makes you much more resourceful. Because instead of saying, I'm too broke, that's not a resourceful mentality, or I don't have enough time. You're saying, well, how much time do I have? How many resources do I have? How much money do I have? How much whatever? Maybe it's camera gear you need to buy. You're like, well, I don't have the money to buy the gear. And it's like, what gear do you need to buy? I don't know. I haven't looked. I just know I don't have the money. It's like, well, if you haven't looked, how do you know? And so this really, like, if you can just work to become a more resourceful person, you can make a ton of play on words here, but like resourceful, full of resources, right? And so you start by being resourceful and then you become full of resources. And that's what I've learned, at least in my business. And that's a common thread among the really successful people I've met, just generally, that have, make millions and millions of dollars a year, and the people who are really successful in our industry in real estate media. Take it or leave it. That's how you become more resourceful. And one of the resources that you have available to you if you're in real estate media is the resources and all the things that I had to do wrong and that my team has learned building our business. And so we'd love to chat with you about what that could look like. We love to work with people in coaching and help them get their business there and help them make the most of the resources they have and be the most resourceful so that they can grow fast. And like I said, coaching is one of those resources you have available to you. So there's a link below. We'd love to chat with you, give you a roadmap for your business, even if coaching doesn't make sense for you right now. That's what I have for you. I'll see you in the next one.